Here I am walking around San Salvador. Oh no, so scary. So scary. There's a water park and a jump house in this beautiful park. It's so nice. And look, there's even like a little place to eat. It's beautiful. It's such a nice day out today. I'm gonna show you guys this park. It's so cool. We are back in my favorite country, El Salvador, and this time we are in San Salvador answering the question, is San Salvador safe? Well, let's talk about safety and give some context. I'm a solo traveling woman, and I've been solo traveling since I was 18. It's been about 4 or 5 years now. And safety for me as a tourist is different from a resident, a citizen, a business owner. But I think it's a good litmus test to see how well a woman does on her own in a place or a country. And this question was inspired by a comment I received by Remo Gatron, who was born in El Salvador and had to escape with his family and many migrants who risked their lives to be in a better place. And he asked, what do you mean by safe? I'm just curious, what standards are you judging it? Some parts safe, the whole country, only rural areas. What criteria are you judging it? First, I want to thank Remo for his comment because it brought up such a good point I should address in the videos I make, because I do encourage people, especially women, to travel solo, because I travel solo. And safety means something radically different everywhere you go. And what do I even mean by safety? Let's get all of the terms and the criteria for what safety means to me down so you know, so we have a general understanding. So defining safety is easy. It just means to be free from harm or danger. But I feel like that doesn't really encompass the true feeling of being safe. I think it's easier to define safety for what it's not versus what it is. To me, I feel unsafe when someone wants more from me than I'm willing to give. Every woman on earth knows exactly what I mean by that. But to put it more broadly, when I feel unsafe, it's generally because another party, person, or organization wants more from me, either physically, romantically, monetarily, than I want to give them or that is reasonable. There's usually the basis of consent being breached. And you can feel that something like that is going to happen most of the time before you're in that kind of situation. And so when I say that I felt safe in El Salvador, I mean that safety wasn't on my mind at all. And I was in Salvador for almost 2 months. I traveled from the northern Guatemalan border all the way south to the Honduras-El Salvador border and everywhere in between. I went to Uyua, Ateco, I went to San Salvador, I've been to San Miguel and La Union. So I've been in El Salvador extensively and alone. I walked alone at night to the markets in every city I've been to. There's a Chinese food place in Uyua I would just walk to every night because it was just delicious. Then in San Salvador, I just needed things from the market. I don't only want to live my life during the day because I am a woman. And it takes knowing what safety looks like during the day to know what safety looks like at night too. And I felt incredible. And it's something that they're really proud of how safe it is there. When I checked into my hostel in San Salvador, I walked from the bus station because I took the city bus, the buses they have running throughout the country. So I didn't take any private transportation. And I walked from the bus terminal to the hostel and it was maybe 20 minutes. I get inside the hostel and the first thing the hostel host says to me, she's like, "You walked here? Isn't it so safe to walk here?" They're proud of that. And I would be too. El Salvador is not a place that shies away from its history at all. Many people who left the country during those times only remember it in those times. But peace is hard won. Outside of my passionate speech about how proud I am of El Salvador and how amazing it was, I purposefully waited to learn about El Salvador's history until I got there because I knew that the American version we would receive about El Salvador's history would only be negative. We would not learn anything about the actual culture outside of its suffering. And that felt crazy to me. I wanted to go find out for myself what El Salvador is like. But I did not do that unaware. Because the first thing I did before even crossing the border is I noticed there were Walmarts in San Salvador. I noticed there was a Walmart and a Zara. But I realized Walmart wouldn't have a business in a place that was actively racked by war and turmoil the way it was. Zara is not going to sell $50 t-shirts in a place that's like completely ruined. So that was a key indicator that what I was hearing about El Salvador was not the truth. I heard very little, but the tiny things I did read, even the blog post I read, had a negative insinuation about El Salvador, and it almost made you afraid to go when, in truth, all the things that I was warned about in the blogs I read just didn't happen. They just simply did not happen. I don't know what else to tell people when I say I travel alone. I felt fine. But let's talk about safety and the different tiers of safety. To me, tier list. So in each video I make going forward, I'll rank each place I visit on a scale of very safe to politically unsafe. So very safe means I never thought about safety at all. I didn't take any additional safety precautions, nothing. It didn't even come to my mind. A place that's safe is taking the usual safety precautions, making sure no one's following you, low level or low amounts of potentially unsafe areas. And safety is in the back of my mind. I'm situationally aware, but I don't really see much to be concerned about. A place that's mostly safe, that means you got to keep your belongings or your wits about you. It's usually easy to get cheated or scammed. So there's like lower amounts of petty crime, but overall, you're not too concerned about safety. So what I say about scams are really important because the easiest way to know that a place will take advantage of you is by how often they'll try to scam you. This is secret sauce. Because remember what I said about safety being taking more than what's reasonable or what you consent to, taking advantage of you. And the minute you're being taken advantage of, that just escalates in varying degrees. But a way to see little ways people take advantage of you will show you the bigger ways people can take advantage of you. And if you are ripped off to your eyeballs, then you're someone that they're trying to take advantage of. And that doesn't mean that like other like harmful crimes can happen to you, but I would be aware of it because that means you look like you have something someone else wants and they're willing to try to get it from you. Gotta be careful. A place that is not safe. Trouble is easy to find, but usually won't find you if you don't go looking. Meaning you might see crimes happening around you or interpersonal crime happening, but it usually won't impact you unless you yourself go out of your way to be involved. That means things like, I don't know if I can say this word on YouTube, so I'm going to spell it. A place that is very unsafe, you're likely to experience assault of some kind during the day. High gang activity, high crime, usually grimy or dirty, with dilapidated buildings. And the last one, unsafe because of governmental conflict, not unsafe because of the citizens' actions. An example, active war, civil war, conflicts, or high likelihood of war. These places have the kindest and most warm-hearted citizens, but are only unsafe because of reasons out of the citizens' control. There are many places like this. Some of the best people I've met in my entire life have been from Sudan and El Salvador, both places that were politically unsafe. But I guarantee you, an El Salvadorian person will not try to harm you. They have been like the kindest, nicest people I've ever met in my life so far. Or I've had 2 experiences that really showed the character of El Salvadorian people. 3, actually. The first was when I crossed the border into El Salvador. I came after all the buses ran, so I was stuck at the border at night. I hitchhiked a ride across, there's a bridge where you cross the northern border from Guatemala, and I hitchhiked a ride across that bridge, hitchhiking. The second was I showed up and all of us had left for the day. I was going to go on a bus to San Salvador, but I was just like stuck there. And I had no physical dollars because El Salvador uses dollars. I had Guatemalan quetzales that I needed to change. And I was like properly AOL because my phone was dead, and it didn't matter if my phone was even charged. I had no internet. Craziness. So I see a woman who, like another black person at the border, just like, girl, what you doing out here? I love seeing the black people in random places. But her husband was El Salvadorian, and he was insistent that I was gonna sleep on their couch and like wait till the morning for the bus to start running at 4 o'clock, then I can go. You know, I was like, I don't want to get in your way. You know, you're out here with your lady, with your wife. You guys in a hotel room, trying to be decent. He was like, no, you're definitely gonna stay here. And they both walked me to the bus the next day. I was like, that was just such a random, wonderful blessing. But I got caught in a huge rainstorm, and this woman just like invited me into her house, gave me a pair of fresh clothes, fed me, and let me wait out the storm, me and my friend who I was hiking with. But like in America, that will literally never happen to you. If you're stuck outside in a storm, tough luck, dude. I hope you get an umbrella. But for someone to just do that for me, like, dang. Oh my God, I felt so warm inside. Actually, this group of guys saw me and my friend trying to walk through the water, and we like hid in this little area. And the guy was like, just go over to my house, like knock on the door. My wife's at home. She'll like, you know, hook you up. And she in fact did. Then as I'm in San Salvador, I'm at the market. I like to chit chat with people at the market a lot and like store owners. And I was talking to this guy who sold me my green hat in my video. I love that hat. And he was like, we're so excited to have like tourists again, and it's so good to see like a country healing. And he was like, I hope you enjoy your stay here in like San Salvador. I have never had that experience as a tourist. It felt so good for someone to like want you there. It's kind of rare too, because many places have been like overran by tourism to the point where it doesn't feel good anymore. Absolutely stunning. I had such a good time. Oh, I love El Salvador. I'm not talking about other countries on my channel, I promise, but El Salvador has a place in my heart forever. I hope. Let's now get into all the cool things I did in San Salvador. And you have to stay till the end where I talk about La Union and the spirit of Montana. I promise that is so worth it. If you go to El Salvador, please go to the spirit of Montana. I'll link the WhatsApp phone number in my description so you can go. Go. It's the law. Okay, let's get into it. Also, if you like me vlog style talking about things, retry. If you like me vlog style talking, let me know in the comments and I'll add more of that to my videos. Let me know what you guys want too. You're my early audience, so I really care for you, and I'm just like so happy you're here just to see my journeys. I've been traveling for years now, and I only started talking about it, and I'm just so happy you're here to like see it with me. Okay. Now let's go have fun. Let's go see other cool things. Here I am walking around San Salvador. Oh no, so scary. So scary. There's a water park and a jump house. In this beautiful park. It's so nice. And look, there's even like a little place to eat. It's beautiful. It's such a nice day out there. I'm gonna show you guys this park. It's so cool. This is Kutzkatland Park. It has 2 UNESCO blue seals, and this is the Memento to Memory and Truth, a monument to those killed in the Civil War. Lest we forget, San Salvador has recovered, but it's important to never diminish the lessons learned, because you have this extremely long wall of people who died, disappeared, homicides from 1981 to 1992. So if anyone knows a lesson about peace, it's El Salvador. And this is a long wall. They have every single name. They didn't forget a soul. Every single name. This monument is 280 feet or 85 meters, and at the time of its creation, It only had 30,000 names, but the true number of people killed was closer to 75,000 or more. So this monument should actually be twice as long to include everyone. Remember what I said about noticing how safe a place is during the day will tell you if it's safe to go at night? Well, this place had all the markers of being incredibly safe during the day, so I decided to test my theory and see if it's safe at night as well. So a little after 9 o'clock, I went outside and there was basketball games happening, people jogging. There was a lot of dance classes too. I decided to take a little stroll on the way back from the market and just really enjoy myself. The park is incredibly well lit and very active, even at night. Visiting the San Salvador Volcano is a must if you are in San Salvador. It's beautiful. It's absolutely massive crater in the ground that actually used to be filled with water until the 1917 explosion left, well, just this crater. There's several paths that will take you to the lookout points, and the path that I took is the path looking for the giant. You can take every single one and really take your time through it. It all takes you to the same spot. The entrance is just a few dollars. And at the base of the volcano, there's a museum dedicated to the history of the explosion in 1917. There used to be a town here before the explosion. If you are a fan of religious architecture the way I am, the Church of Rosario is a must to visit. It's the most unique and beautiful church I have ever seen, and I love looking at churches. This is the outside, which will completely dismay you because the inside will take your breath away. To get inside, it only costs $2, but it's important to wear appropriate clothing or they'll ask you to cover up. Once inside, you will see the beautiful stained glass. The architect of the building was Ruben Martinez, but the stained glass was actually created by a Spanish Dominican named Domingo Itagures. Martinez had a unique vision for the church and limited space. The church has so many symbols to the stories of the Bible that you can see here.
May there be peace and love and perfection throughout all creation, O God. May there be peace and love and perfection throughout all creation, O God.
The first church of the parish of Rosario was founded in 1545 in the Plaza de Armas of El Salvador, and in 1848 became into a cathedral. The architect, Ruben Martinez, who built the Church of Rosario, had to leave the conventional parameters to make a unique and modern Catholic temple, filled with symbolism and beauty, with a structure similar to a bridge, but symbolizing the eye of God and the Holy Trinity. The plans were initially not accepted by church authorities, so Martinez decided to seek approval of the Vatican and authorize the project. The stained glass windows represent the eye of divinity, and whose rainbow provides a unique chromatic atmosphere at every moment within its temple. The Plaza La Libertad consists of several historical buildings. The church you just saw is the Metropolitan Church of El Salvador. This area is a very historical spot where peace treaties were signed, assassinations happened, and now it's home to governmental buildings and the Monument to Truth and Freedom. That is the National Palace of El Salvador, which you can visit and go inside. Fun fact about the Metropolitan Cathedral is that it used to have tile on the outside of it that was completely taken off without any permission. Oh, that is the Monument to Truth and Freedom. Next, on to the Spirit of Montana, my absolute favorite place. The journey was rocky. It was completely bumpy. There was no real paved roads while you're going up the volcano, and the bus was shaking so hard that I nearly fell out, getting smacked by trees, by leaves. It was the best freaking time. If you look closely, we're all holding on a white knuckle for dear life, but it's all good. We're having a good time here. I'm at the Spirit of Montana in El Salvador, and look, I have a California too. Never that far from home, huh? Check it out. This is the Gulf of Fonesca, and we are camping out on Volcano Cuchucuaca. I am doing my best with these names, friends. Please help me out in the comments. Tell me how you say it. But this land is actually owned by one person. In 2017, a man named Lewis, who owns this area, decided to make this a lookout point for visitors to come and see. This was his passion project. There is a hostel nearby, and there is a small restaurant right behind us that serves rice and beans and plantains. But the real joy is in the hike itself. I believe I paid around $39 to camp. The tent and the mat were extra, but you also get to sleep on top of a volcano, go on a guided hike with an awesome dog throwing toys at him, and get to sleep under the stars and look at 3 countries at once. Another really fun fact, the city below us on the El Salvador side was almost, and it might be on the way to being a Bitcoin city. Bitcoin is kind of a big thing in El Salvador, and some really rich people want to make that Bitcoin city. But for now, it's just a city at the edge of the volcano. As night fell, watching the sunset over 3 countries felt otherworldly. I wish my camera was able to just show you how splendid the colors really were and how vibrant the stars were. Not only was the sunset amazing, but the sunrise was something to take your breath away. Everyone woke up maybe 4 or 5 in the morning to see the entire thing. It was splendid. Here is some secret sauce for my end of the video watchers, because you guys are awesome and thank you for joining me. This was an incredible experience for me, and I really hope you have it too, because there is nothing like watching the sunset and rise over 3 countries. Visiting those islands isn't too difficult. You can cross the border into Honduras in just a few hours from where we are because they're so far south. But there is a second trail you can do. If you don't go all the way back into the city, there will be a sign with a turnoff to take, and from that sign it will say Volcano Chuchengawa. Follow that sign, park your car, get out, take the hike, And if you go all the way to the very end of the hike, there is another lookout tower. It's blue and it's a little bit shaky. If you go all the way up that tower, you can see the edges of 2 more volcanoes and see a butterfly highway. It's stunning. The butterflies are moving too fast when you catch it on video, but I promise it's worth it. Also, in San Salvador, there's a lady selling like giant 12-inch chocolate covered bananas. Get you one. Anyways, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and consider checking out my other videos. Adios.